Hello, family. Welcome back to the African Diaspora News channel. I am Wongel Zelalem, and I am here with another topic, an interesting one, I believe. It's a conversation that needs to be had because it is happening as we speak. And yeah, it's important to have important discussions. But first, let us wait for people to join, and I will show you a video. The reason why, actually, I wanted to talk about this specific topic is because of a conversation or a chat I had a few weeks ago on this channel when we were live. Someone was disagreeing or pushing back when we were talking about there's a different kind of treatment people face, especially in European countries, when it comes to, yes, we're all Black, but some are American, some are African, and there's classism, there's passport privilege, there's accent privilege, believe it or not. So we were talking about that, and someone pushed back, strongly pushed back. And I remember telling that person, you either have not traveled a lot or you're not American, because you would know the privileges that come with it when you travel abroad, right? Especially the power the passport has and how many countries you can travel to without needing to apply to a single one, having to just cruise. Like, cruising for many Americans might seem like a fun thing to do, right? Cruise ship, that is. For many of us, especially if you have many of these African countries' passports, it's going to be very, very hard for you to be on that cruise ship, right? Because of all the requirements. And let's just say it's not easy. So we were having that conversation, I remember. And when I saw this clip of a sister, a Black American woman, talking about, I believe she's Black American, but for sure she's American, who's Black. She is talking about how her status changed when she moved to the Netherlands, and how surprised and amazed she was by the status change. And she talks about it a little bit further, and I thought, that's actually something we were talking about last time, but the person didn't believe me. So I hope you're here. I forget who you were, but yeah, we're gonna talk about today how racism is different in different continents, different countries. And even though in America, for example, it might be direct in your face, in Europe, it's more like measured and quiet, and it's done differently. And all these things you pick up on when you travel, right? So, as much as there is definitely, and those, by the way, this a lot of Black travelers say this, and specifically from America, they say when they travel to European countries like the Netherlands, they first, when they see them, they say they face like discrimination. They are the people, of course, the locals, don't they're not welcoming, they're not nice, they're not really they don't want to conversate. They basically look at them with suspicion as soon as they start speaking. And this is mostly what they say: when I started to talk, the treatment changes. It feels like I've climbed up, and this is a direct quote, it feels like I climbed up a ladder a little bit more. Like, it's, and this is something they also say. They say it doesn't feel like the racism is gone, but it feels more like now they have taken me up a little bit in the hierarchy. And they believe that at least maybe I have money, or I am some kind of influential person because I'm there. And they say whenever they see their passports, that their respect just goes up. And this is direct quotes, I'm telling you. So yeah, of course, we cannot deny that that exists. And when you think about it, it's it's something that we see and we hear. Yes, it makes it more real when someone that is experiencing it talks about it. I'll show you her clip in a little bit. I'm just setting it up for you. When you hear the experiences directly, it proves the point that, by the way, classism is a big thing in Europe. From everything that we see, they put class almost above a lot of things, right? As opposed to, let's say, in America, first it's your skin color. So yeah, it's an interesting topic, I think, to discuss. And yeah, hope we can have a fruitful conversation. Hope you can hear me and see me clearly. Let me know down below, because I'm about to play the young lady's video and the important topic that she brings up, which, yeah, I find interesting. Let me play her video.
So it's officially been 3 months since I moved to the Netherlands from the US, to the dismay and confusion of a lot of people in my life. But I feel like now, after 3 months, I can comfortably talk about a couple things that I've noticed about Dutch culture, specifically as someone moving from the US context and specifically as a dark skinned Black woman. And the last one specifically I noted is because it's relevant, I promise. The first thing that I noticed is that although the Netherlands is a very progressive country, I believe they were the first to legalize same sex marriage. They are known for their lax drug laws and other social systems that are seen traditionally by the world as progressive. The reality is that Dutch people themselves are actually pretty conservative. And from what I read,
I find this interesting, by the way, and before we get even into the subject of status changing in the Netherlands, it's the fact that they're known to be the most like liberal people, right? With acceptance of different movements, and um, that's at least like the benchmark. A lot of people, when they talk about progressiveness, they tend to bring up like the Dutch, European countries, specific countries, and yeah, it's quite also, it feels like it's contradicting almost to be that liberal and that I don't know, relaxed in your views of things, and then in the same breath you're conservative. It's There's something there. I just find it hard to understand, like, how they're like that. You know what I mean? Like, if you, let's say, if we take an example of Africans, majority of Africans are like conservative to the core. And I always explain conservative in the sense of like the idea of like what they believe in, not a political affiliation, like in America, Republican. That's not what I mean. Conservative in their views. So basically, since they're that way, most of the laws that are being past, the lawmakers, it's in that way, right? To that effect, because that's what they believe in, right? So this surprises me, because like, how can you be this at the same time the other side? You know what I mean? So yeah, let's continue. Oh, it's not playing. Okay, as
themselves
it's
are
okay,
actually
it's
pretty
playing.
conservative. And from what I read, it's theorized that it's from its Calvinist past. And if you don't know anything about Calvinism, I implore you to take 2 seconds to Google Calvinism. But in reality, actually, within Dutch culture, there's this culture of do normal, which means be normal, be average, so to speak, don't rock the boat, follow the rules. That is seems very antithetical to its social policies and systems that point to a much more progressive and liberal people. Not to say that the Dutch aren't tolerant, they are actually extremely tolerant and extremely live and let live, just from all the way over there. It's very interesting. And honestly, fair enough. The second thing that I've noted, and this is why I specified dark skinned black women, is that when you come to the Netherlands, your status changes. And I want to specify that this is because of being American, first and foremost, not so much for being a dark skinned black woman.
Yeah, so here's where she describes it a little bit more, and I'll let her make her point. But yeah, so for her, in her experience, someone moving from America to the Netherlands, she has seen her status shift. And she's very aware that there's a difference, even if she is a black woman, specifically a dark skinned black woman in that country. She's also seen a different treatment or different way of approaching the same subject as an American that is black and the others, basically other black people. It could be from the Caribbean, it could be from Africa, and that's the point.
But I'm specifying the distinction because in the United States, all the messaging that you get as a black woman is that nobody wants you. You are the bottom of the totem pole, and all just there's just so much negativity that feels like a concerted effort to make you hate yourself as a black woman. Whereas you come to the Netherlands and your status completely changes. And this is why I want to talk about the conversation very delicately and specifically. This is not to say that there is no racism and that there isn't, we can talk about that in another video, because they definitely treat like black Surinamese people or other black Caribbean Dutch people that live here or come here very differently, as well as Africans very differently than they treat you as a black woman that is coming from a country like the United States. I just want to specify that it has been something that I've been kind of internally navigating of like my perception here is very different, but it's not because they're much more comfortable with black people. It's because they're much more comfortable with American people and I have an American accent. Because I can see people switch in the moment when they see me versus when I first start talking.
And this is something that you hear not just from her, but from other travelers as well. They say as soon as people see them, right? The first thing they see is obviously their image, what they look like, the color of their skin, right? And as soon as they see them, the way they treat them is off and very cold and suspicious. But when they start to speak and they hear their accent, now we're talking. Now things change. Now, there's a different level of a conversation that comes afterwards.
And it's been very interesting, and I don't really hear a lot of people talk about this like online. I've heard people talk about it in person where they're like, yeah, your status definitely changes because you're perceived as an expat as opposed to an immigrant, which in on its own is, we can talk about that.
Yeah, this expat and immigrant conversation is not only being had in the Netherlands, by the way, like how certain groups, like when they come, let's say, someone working in a company from the UK comes to Kenya and they're working there, they're going to be seen as expats, right? Expats is how they will be seen. But when the same company, let's say, sends a Kenyan to the UK and they're working there, they're called immigrants. So that's also like there's a big, big, big difference in how they perceive you. And that name on its own will tell you how well or how badly you're going to be treated. Expat versus immigrant or migrant, even though you are on the same role, the same company paid for you to go there or to travel there to work, and it's just a contract. You're not staying there for long. You're not going to be there. Uh, you're not there to live there or apply for residency. You're just there to work and come back to your country. But two people doing the exact same thing, working the same exact job, but in different countries, different continents, will be treated differently, and they'll be given different names, like an immigrant and an expat.
All to say, this topic is what I talk about more in depth with my guest on my latest episode of Interesting People of Earth, which
Yeah, she's breaking up, but she talks about like how she's gonna explain it a little bit more in her podcast, right? So I'm seeing comments. I'll come to you guys. Oh, I'm seeing someone actually from the Netherlands. It would be so interesting to have you on next time if you'd like to have a conversation, because I'm really intrigued to learn a little bit more about this. Um, you said I am from the Netherlands with parents from Suriname. Racism in the Netherlands is growing, and I wonder how you are treated. Like I would love to hear a little bit more from you. And people here are saying also she is from America but not Black American, right? So yeah, so basically we're talking about the passport as well, so it still holds true, the conversation. So yeah, as you heard her speak, and this is not just her, this is a conversation that have come up before. And um, people believe just because there's a status change that that's really not racism. Or some people actually, the ones that I heard, they say actually they feel like now their status has changed. It's not necessarily racism has gone, if that makes sense. So there's a hierarchy, obviously, and it is based on your accent. In these countries, it's based on your accent, it's based on your passport, because they perceive, if you're coming from America, one, you're probably just a tourist, or two, you're there for a job, like you're an expat, not an immigrant. That's where, you know, the wording comes in. And so they also believe this is the way America has influenced the world globally. It's just true. At least we should give respect when respect is due, right? But unfortunately, thanks to Trump, it's crumbling down, and the views are changing slowly but surely, because people are like, you know, having different of opinion. But for the most part, America is seen as this powerful nation, right? Even as we speak right now. So that comes with its privileges. And that is people thinking that if you're from America, they have this idea, there's this image of, like, you know, what we've watched in Hollywood movies, in music. And you gotta admit, America is influential globally, not just in America, right? The influence goes above and beyond the globe, and it's everywhere. So that impacts how people see the people from there when they meet them. So some people even say nationality in these countries, nationality is worth way more than your race, because they believe in class. And it's like part of a classism. It's like you've changed your class. And it's about and for them as well, not just from foreigners. In their own country, they have a way of determining who to give respect and who not to give respect. So like if you come from a royal family, you're top notch. If you come from, you know, not just middle class but higher class, where you went to this school, specific schools, you'll have a specific accent, even in their own countries, is what I'm talking about. Those people will be treated way better than those that come from a lower class. So it's an interesting one. Let me see. Sea Juice Fly said, I live in the Netherlands, how do you say Suriname? Am I saying it right? Suriname roots. Um, hello, hello, the art of today. Welcome. Oh, you guys are speaking in your own language. Okay, love that for you. I don't know what you guys are saying. But yeah, it would be interesting if you guys can actually contribute to this conversation, because it's about your culture, and it's about how people, the Dutch people are, especially towards Black people. And you, if you're perceived to be a Black person, the treatment varies. So that's what we're talking about. It would be really nice if you can, you know, contribute to the conversation. Let us know how it's been. Was that your experience? Is this true? MF12345 said, expat is a fancy name for immigrants from Western countries, which is true. And we face the exact same thing here on the continent as well. Like they're given expat names, but whenever we leave the continent, even if it's with a job that is a contract job, it's not, anything like you're not migrating, you're still being called immigrant. So that's definitely how it's been designed, or like we're used to that kind of treatment. So yeah, we accept it. Hi, MF1. Hi, Bubbly. You said she's Nigerian. Sira said, really? Are you talking about me or the young lady that we just watched? Sira said, your language is not even from the continent. It's way similar to Arabic. I have never heard that before. If it's about me, I've heard Indian before, Indian accent. And I'm like, how is my accent Indian? But you also have to understand, for those of us that were born and bred and grew on the continent, depending on, of course, which country you're from. It's every country is different. Let's not bundle it up. But um, depending on which country you're from, it depends on what kind of English or French or Spanish, Portuguese you're going to speak, because of which country colonized your country. Like, I believe in Kenya, the national language is Swahili and English, because the British colonized them. Same, I believe, with Nigeria, English, and I don't know what else. South Africa, it's also English. So it depends. As for me, though, I don't know where I can put my accent, to be honest with you, because for us, it's not in our like national language, so it's only Amharic. So that's the language that I grew up speaking. This is more so English from school that I picked up from my friends. I had Canadian friends that we grew up with, or like maybe movies, people I interact with. So or books, they don't have an accent, but like, you know what I mean. So I've never heard Arabic, so okay, maybe I guess I sound Arabic too. So yeah, that's like the context I wanted to give you. It's different for everyone. The francophone speaking, they speak French. Even their French, by the way, is not like exactly the same as French in France, because they have their own dialect as well. They have their own local language, mother tongue, so it makes it different that way. But yeah, I have no clue, to be honest, like what, yeah. What accent that is. MF12345 said, you are right, Wengale. I'm not sure about which one, but glad to know I'm right. Sira, if you're talking to me, if you're not going to be nice and disrespectful, you are going to be blocked. Just a warning, sir. Because no one is allowed to we can have a conversation, a respectful conversation. If it's a disagreement, fine, we can disagree, but being downright disrespectful, yeah, no, we're not going to do this. So consider this your warning. Mrs. said, what's up, Red Cat? General said, what's going on? Well, so I'm thinking you just joined. We're having a conversation about your class changing. Specifically, there's this girl that moved from America to the Netherlands, and she said she has noticed her status has changed. And yeah, that's the conversation we're having, like conversation on how people specifically in Europe will treat you based on your passport, your accent, your nationality, nationality passport. And so, yeah, how that hierarchy works and how it feels like you're climbing up a ladder when you have a different accent, or when you come from a different place. Barb Glows, welcome, Barb. I like your name. Said, yes, every time I vacation, they give me suspicious stares until I start talking and the American accent comes. And then their treatment is top notch, like you said. Thank you, Barb. I appreciate you chiming in, because it's so weird to me that I'm actually trying to explain to people, and they're like, yeah, what do you know? Like, yeah, right. Well, that's an experience that majority of people have communicated, and you just need to Google search it. But I thought it was an interesting conversation as well, because last time someone was arguing with me and telling me that this is not true. So I'm like, okay, I found an example for you. Let's talk about it. MF12345, what a name, said it is getting worse for Black people in the Netherlands. Racism is now openly. And by the way, it's across the board in European countries. I've been reported, especially I would say 2025. I don't know what happened. 2025, arguably, from all the years I've been doing this and talking about it, what is it, 6 years now? It has been the most reported on European countries, like analyzing, being direct about their racism. Because back in the days, what people would say is in America, it's a direct racism, but in Europe, it's very subtle, quiet, micro, like it's behind the scenes, systemic, right? But now it's becoming very direct, like to the point where they're blowing up people's cars. We talked about that, remember? To the point where our people are afraid to leave their house because of the threats that they hear. There's slogans going around, like in Australia, Australia for the white man, as if it ever belonged to the white man. They came and settled, right? The indigenous people are still there, alive and well. Well, most of them, they, you know what they did to them, but they're still there, right? So it's something has changed, and the anti-blackness has become very apparent and very in your face. And yeah, even reporting on them, sometimes I'm like, how is this allowed to happen in 2025? And this is like last year, a month ago, when we were talking about it. And it's like every other country we're talking about in Europe, it's become so blatant, they can't even hide it. It can't even it's scary. It's scary to the point where Black people are afraid to leave their houses. It's getting very scary. But we also know what America is going through. It has its own issues with the ICE situation now, but European countries definitely have flipped, and I wonder why. You know, what's the word on the street? Please let me know down below in the comments. Like, why is it so blatant now? Even with the politicians, they feel very comfortable saying the things that they say, the statements that you would never imagine a politician to say about a group of people. Um, Barb Glows said, all of a sudden they want to know about me and get curious because of your accent. Precisely. MF12345 said, Wengil is 100% African for sure. Yeah, that's true. And East African as well, because this forehead won't lie. We're known for our foreheads. So yeah. What else? Bubbly said that Nigerian lady in the video was saying her people didn't have anything in common with FBAs. She said they were more like Southern whites. Stop it. Stop. I need to find that video. That will be the next conversation. Great Blackness said your English is good. I can barely hear your accent, and I'm FBA. It's interesting that you said that. By the way, Great Blackness. When I first started YouTube, and this was what, 6 years ago, people would comment and they would say, I can't understand through that thick accent. What are you saying? And I remember thinking, wait a minute, like, really, you can't really hear me? But then, yes, someone else told me, yeah, they're just BSing. Like, you're talking properly, just leave them alone. Because I was like, okay, I want you to hear me. The whole reason of being on YouTube is so I can communicate. And if you can't hear me and understand me, it's very like, what sense does that make, right? But I'm glad you can hear me and understand me. Sira said, isn't Amharic Semitic language? Correct. It is a Semitic language, and that's a language that my mother tongue, is that how you say it? Yeah, mother tongue. That's what I grew up speaking. That's my language. If you want me to throw in a little bit, a little Amharic here for you. ሰላም ሰላም፣ እንዴት ናችሁ? እኔ ጥሩ ቀን አሳልፌያለሁ፣ እግዚአብሔር ይመስገን። እግዚአብሔር ይባርካችሁ። መልካም ምሽት። I can go on and on. Sira said, which is the same as Arabic, but you know, Amharic is not the only Semitic language, or Arabic is not the only Semitic. There's so many Semitic languages. And yeah, Amharic definitely is one of those. And as you know, it comes from the ancient language Ge'ez, which is an ancient language, which, it was being used before all this, even maybe, I hope I'm not. Okay, I don't want to say it if I'm going to make a mistake, so I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, it's an ancient language, so yeah, it is. It's definitely that. Mrs. Red Cat said South Africa has like 12 languages, so one standard on the site is easier. Um, General, I don't think General, I can read that out loud. Oh, wow, General is from the Netherlands. So we have so many people from the Netherlands today. Barb Glow said, I can definitely hear an accent from you. I would have thought you were East African, Guyanese, or Indian. Okay, yeah, you got me on the East African. Yes, yes, I am from East Africa. And as I said earlier, it's like everyone has its own sets of accent, like Kenyan, Ugandan, Tanzanian, Rwandan. Oh, no, I think Rwandese. They don't like to be called one of those. So I'm sorry if you're watching this from Rwanda. So everyone has their own, because you use your own dialect as well. Like I didn't grow up speaking English, as I said, so it will have to work with my own Amharic um, language. So that's why you'll hear an accent. But well, I like that you think I'm from Guyana, though. Um, MF said, yes, Europe is getting worse. Yeah, I just wonder why the flip. It's been such a sharp change, right? Before we knew it was there, right? Like the anti blackness, it was there. But now it's very in your face. And it's alarming and scary because they feel bold. I remember covering a story of a lady, I believe is from Ireland, and she's white, by the way. And she's talking about how every time she leaves her house, at least I think she said 90% or 80% of the time, she will witness anti-blackness acts against black people. And one time she said she had to put a stop to it, and she spoke up for this black woman that was being harassed. So imagine if their own people is admitting it, how much worse it has gotten. Barb Glow said, I'm going to Australia before Europe. Europe is not all that to me. They got left in the 1800s. And by the way, Barb Glows, after your Australian trip, I would love to hear from you, because even Australia, I'm hearing, is changing for the worst. So please, after your travel, I would love, love, love to hear from you. But you're American, so first I want you to do, okay, this is something I want you to do. Before you interact with others and speak, take a few seconds, like a silent moment, a moment of silence, to see how they treat you first, like the way you experimented in other European countries. I would love to hear how Australia is before you spoke versus after you spoke, and what's the treatment like. Hunter, welcome, welcome. I am doing well. Hope you're doing well too. Hello, Susan. Wow. Bubbly said, it's true. She said it. She said when Africans come to America, FBA want to unite with them, but she said her people don't have anything in common with FBA. Now I'm gonna go and look for that video. Thank you so much for this. I did not know this. Yeah, we have those people. Um, Thank you, MF. Yeah, thank you, guys. Oh, I see a few comments. Yes, Bubbly, I've heard that guy say he is honestly, I one of the most hateful people I've heard in a while, and he's seen as a what is it called, like almost a hero. And it's, again, these are things I'm witnessing that it's alarming. That's what it's alarming, fam. If they can say this openly, I don't know what they say behind the scenes. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you, Barb Glows. Please do let us know once you travel to Australia. Anywho, fam, thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one tomorrow, same time. Stay blessed. Bye.